Hello and welcome to Crowbar Kernel Panic, the podcast at the intersection of Linux and gaming. This is episode 27, and I promise that this episode is not going to be about any version of Fedora. We're gonna play a game tonight where we're gonna try our best not to even mention the distribution that is named after a hat.
Does Nobara count?
Oh, that's true. We could just mention Nobara. But we are live streaming on YouTube at Crowbar Kernel Panic. You can also send us an email at crowbarkernelpanic@pm.me, or you can join us on Discord. I have a link to the Discord in the show notes to the Mintcast Discord, where we hang out in the Linux gaming section. One of the things I wanted to bring up as one of our news items, but it kind of relates to the Mintcast Discord, so I'll talk about it now. But we had the feedback, I think it was from Ancient, that you could use the XP pin if you use their native. They had like a driver that you could download from their website actually for Linux. Yeah. Well, it looks like they've added that into the kernel. So in the next Linux kernel cycle, which this article is actually pretty old. This article's from June 18th. So at the point it may be maybe in the latest kernel. I don't know. But they're actually going to add in support for at least their latest line of XP Pen Deco drawing tablets. So that's pretty cool. It's good to know. And you know, it's the XP Pen Deco is like the drawing tablet that you draw and look up at the screen. It's not like you're drawing on a screen. And I have one of those, and it is like tricky to get used to, but once you get used to it, it really is just a different hand-eye coordination you have to get used to.
Yeah. It's almost like it's like typing, with your keyboard, you got to kind of get used to it without looking at it.
Yeah, it's a lot like that. I remember whenever you were a kid, did they ever do the thing where they put the little rubber like film over the screen, over the keyboard? So that you couldn't see the keys?
I didn't do that, but I had this horrible typing CD that my parents would make me go over and over and over again, and it was like
or the dinosaur would eat the leaves.
No, that's not the one.
Man,
as boring as you can get. It was just a picture of a lady, and there would be voiceover, and she'd be like, "Okay, now type this," and it'd show you on the screen, how to type it, and then you'd have to do it, and they're constantly like, "Don't look at the keys." You're just like, please shut up. This is the 100th time you've said that.
Yeah, like when I was a kid, we used to play these games where there was one, like it was a race car, and you would, like, as you typed faster, the race car would go faster, and you were like trying to beat other race cars.
Where were those for me? I got nothing. I got crap.
I don't know. This was like way back. This was like, computer lab days, and like when I was like in like the first grade, and I remember
that's how long ago I'm talking about too. Like this is when I was like, I don't even know how old. Not even 10 yet.
But there was one that sticks out in my mind. Is like one that stuck with me was this. It was this dinosaur eating leaves, and as you would type, he would eat the leaves.
That would have been the most amazing one for me, because I was like hooked on dinosaurs as a kid.
Yeah, that's the one that I really enjoyed. But yeah, I guess it's a little bit like that. But the next time I don't see myself being in the market to buy one of these things for a while. But if I were, I would consider an XP pen, just because I know that it's at least in the kernel now.
That's cool. Anything after the kernel is amazing.
Yeah, Wacom has been for a long time, like default settings in the settings managers of basically every distro. But Wacom's the more expensive brand too, so it's nice. It's nice that that XP Pen's there.
I feel like they're kind of like the Monopoly kind of situation, like, because everyone talks about them, and I don't hear anything. This is the first time I've heard the other brands, to be honest.
What XP Pen is probably the best. I don't want to say low end, because that implies a certain quality, but it's like the right. Yeah, it's the best, more cost effective competitor. Yeah,
cost effective. Yeah, right. Exactly. Gotcha.
I had a different one too. I remember we talked about it last time. I couldn't remember. It was UG. I just thought about it. It was UG, but it was literally like if you bought an XP Pen drawing screen and you bought a UG drawing screen, they literally could be the exact same hardware. They just had different brands.
That's great. I love when companies do that. Oh no, it's
Yeah.
totally different. Okay.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about from our last show notes is Celico. I don't know if you remember me talking about the game Celico, but it was a. Let me see if I can pull it up on Steam real quick. It's a game that has not come out yet. It says it's coming out at some absurd date, like it says like 2342 or something. But it's a first person shooter, but it's in the style of like a Doom style, like pixelated
Oh yeah, I think you
graphics.
did mention this now that you say that. Yeah, yeah.
And well, they just released a demo. So let's see if I can share this real quick while I'm talking about it. Again, we're trying new technology today. Trying new technology. All right, I got it. Yeah, so it's like a Doom style, like pixelated first person shooter.
That looks pretty cool.
But it looks really modern. Like I a lot of these types of games catch my eye, but there's just something about them a lot of times where they feel cheap sometimes.
Right.
Like it doesn't feel like an artistic choice as much as this does. Like this seems like they have really good physics and everything's kind of like smooth and looks it looks modern while looking nostalgic.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it looks cool.
But I downloaded the demo and gave it a try. It's one of those cases where like I feel like it's moving way too fast. Like I need that turbo button that we talked about before.
Turbo button doesn't work on Linux. Okay.
I need something to slow it down a little bit. Like it feels like it's like moving way too fast. But
Gotcha.
But also, I haven't played a game like this in so long that I bet even if I played like the newest Doom, it would probably feel that way to me.
Doom
so
is very like I was watching a Linus Tech Tips video where they were playing Doom, and I was like, "Whoa, is that the real pace of the game? Like, holy crap!" He's just like jumping around and like going around corners, killing someone, ducking back real quick, turning around, running. I was like, "Whoa, man! I don't even want to play that game. It's too fast.
It's too much." It's like I watched clips. Well, I picked that game up, but I haven't beat it. But it's from what I played of it, it was like that very much so in the beginning, and then it kind of teeters out. Not teeters out. It's still fast paced. But they put a lot of effort in those first couple levels because they know a lot of people are going to hit those. But like, yeah, it has all these animations where like you like stick a grenade in like a demon's mouth and then blow him up and stuff. Like it's pretty over the top.
That's awesome though.
But yeah, so that was the two news items that I had marked to go over. And I have like a ton of games that I've played since the last episode, and I don't want to like just spend the whole episode just talking about that.
You played a ton of games. I've played Sims like one day.
Well, since
that's been my gaming experience for the past like
what has you playing Sims recently?
So my wife got Sims, and she's
I knew it had to be.
There's all these cool like packs and stuff, and you can do all this cool stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll get it and I'll play it, and so I have a love-hate relationship with it. So let me start from the beginning when I first got Sims way back in the day. Literally the only thing I would do with Sims, I think it was Sims 2. Yeah, because it wasn't quite. Yeah, it was Sims 2 because it was 3D. Before that, it wasn't 3D. I would literally put a kitchen in there, no smoke alarm, let the kitchen light on fire, delete all the doors and windows, and watch the firefighters stand outside because they couldn't get inside the house and watch the house burn. That was my extent of playing it. So I got Sims 4, and now I'm getting like more into the actual like gameplay of it and like getting through a career and all that kind of stuff. So, but
okay, so this is your first time.
It's like a chill game. It's very chill.
Yeah, for sure. I don't even remember. Sims 2 is the Sims that I played too.
Yeah, that's the one I really remembered. Like I said, I just killed people.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I don't know that I played it so much as watching other people played it. So my cousin really enjoyed it, and my wife was like super into Sims.
Yeah, I'm a
Back
bit like
whenever we were
everything else.
dating. Yeah. Yeah. And even today, when we talk about playing video games, she's like, the only game I like is Sims. Which is funny. I think she would like Albion Online because she could just plant carrots all day on her island.
Well, she plays Skyrim too, so she likes all that kind of stuff too. It's not just it's not just Sims.
Yeah. But but yes, that's interesting. So was there a summer? Was it part of the summer sale?
Yeah, it was because those
Okay.
packs are like expensive, dude. They're like $40 a piece, like normally, and I'm just like, no, there's no way I'm ever gonna pay that much. And my wife made a list of the ones I need to get, like these ones first,
Oh,
then
yeah.
these ones. So I just got a couple of them.
That's funny.
Because the
She
base game
has.
is worthless.
Yeah.
It's just like
I didn't realize that the first Sims was 2D. Was it like isometric style 2D, like Diablo-esque?
Yeah, Diablo-esque. Yeah, but it
Huh.
was like I don't know how to describe it. It was it's very strange. You have to look at it. There's probably a way to describe it, but yeah,
I really don't remember it. I really don't
I don't
remember.
remember it either. I actually there's a guy on YouTube called Call Me Kevin, and he did a whole series on Sims and stuff where he makes family and makes a guy and just makes jokes the whole time. But I was like, what Sims is this? Is this like a ripoff Sims? And it's like a Sims 1. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's wild. I did play Sim City a lot though when I was a kid.
Right, yeah. I never played Sim City.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Sim City was awesome. You had to build like a whole city and make sure that roads connected the proper things, and as you got too many people, you'd have to make sure that there was enough parks and all that kind of stuff.
I was into like Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah.
What's the medieval game that not medieval? Like the ancient Greek game that you could be a god and everything and all that crap. Where it was like a real time turn-based strategy, or was it real time? I think
it wasn't called. It wasn't called like
Age of Mythology.
Okay. I was gonna guess Dark and Light or Dark. I can't remember the name of that game. I was gonna guess something else.
It's similar though. It's like on that. It's along those lines. But yeah, no. Age of Mythology. I used to play that a lot. But yeah, not Sim City though. I never actually played that one.
Yeah, no, and there's like a bunch of kind of modern version of the same type of game.
Right.
Management systems. I can't remember what they call that. But I took advantage of the Steam Summer Sale for sure. Let me here, I'll pull my Steam back up. I'm working with one monitor right now. Something I might talk about later in the show. I actually just ordered a new monitor. I ordered, yeah. I think I spent too much.
Oh, man. Wait. Is it the one you were talking about before?
No, it is an ultra wide. Well, it is an ultra wide, but it's not the one we were looking at together.
Okay.
I actually just picked up. I'll talk about it later in the show.
Okay. Oh man, I'm excited about that.
So, it's another nostalgia piece too. Both of my picks from the summer sale are nostalgia pieces, but I just picked up the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Oh, cool.
Cool. I didn't realize how excited I was for this until I started playing it and I heard the music. I don't know if you're a big video game music guy. I normally am not. Yeah, I can appreciate video game music, but I'm never one of those people that is just like I know every song from every game and that sort of thing.
Hedgehog, I can not name, but I can like say like, oh yeah, that's from Sonic. Like if you play the song, I can be like, oh yeah, that's from Sonic. That's this level.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to work with a guy that could like you would just be like Mega Man 3, yada, and he'd be he could do all of it.
That's amazing.
I've never been that guy, but I'm telling you, as soon as I started playing this game and I heard the music and like it's different from the original game, but it's familiar enough that you feel like you're. God, it is so good.
Close to the original.
Yeah, it is. So cool. It is so good. I didn't realize how much I was going to enjoy it until I started playing it. And of course, I'm playing it on Linux through Proton, and just like everything else in this podcast, it's becoming less and less interesting for us to talk about because literally I just installed it and played it. I didn't have to do anything. but the game itself just really like I can't wait to play it. It's part of the reason I'm getting a new monitor is because I wanted to see it on one screen that was larger instead of it being on like this little screen on the side. I was like, man, I just don't feel like I'm getting. I want to hook it up to the TV so it would be even more like playing it on a
Oh
PlayStation.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean though. By like if you get a game that you played on a console on the PC and
Yeah,
you get that nostalgia, but it's not fully finished until you've played it like with the controller on a TV. Like it's just I
yeah.
know exactly what you're talking about. The nostalgia's there, but not quite fulfilled.
It is so good though. I'm not very far into it yet. I basically just got through the very beginning of the game where they blow up the Mako reactor. I can't remember what it's called, but Mako reactor, and and then they go down to the Sector 7 city, and then I can tell that it's working more into like a side quest kind of management thing because they immediately you start picking up jobs. So that's right where I am, which is like right at the beginning.
Did they change the game a lot with the remake?
I can tell they changed. I can tell they changed a lot. Like I won't say a lot, but I can tell there's things that are changed.
Okay.
And I think it's for the better. I think that, and this has to do with their recent announcement that they're releasing a Final Fantasy VII sequel,
Oh, okay.
Rebirth or something like that. And so I think they wanted to retell this story in a better way because if you think about it, there's some hokey stuff that happens in like the later parts of Final Fantasy VII. Like you get like shot in the air by a dolphin at one point. There's a talking dog throughout the game. Like there's some wild stuff that like made sense back then that now I don't know that modern gamers would be into. But
Right.
so this is their chance to kind of give this like a you know
A fresh
a new retelling of it.
start.
Although I do know that Red 13 is a talking dog in the game. So I mean I know they still do that, but I'm sure it's done a lot differently than it was
Huh.
back then. I haven't got to that part obviously.
So,
But
so I another game I have never played is Final Fantasy, but
any of
but
them?
none of them. I've never played
You've never
Final
played
Fantasy.
any Final
No,
Fantasy?
nope.
Holy cow. Holy cow.
But I played Star Ocean. If you've ever played that game,
Oh, yes. I
it's
see
very
now I
Final Fantasy.
remember Star Ocean, but I never played Star Ocean.
I had all of them. I
Wow.
love those games. I'd play those. Oh man, I play those so much. But I know I could get into Final Fantasy, but I don't know why I never picked it up. I don't know. I just always played Star Ocean. I just never
So
ended up picking it up.
I hate to be cliche because it seems cliche to say that Final Fantasy VII is your favorite Final Fantasy because it is literally everybody's favorite Final Fantasy,
Right.
but it is for a reason. Like it is the best setting. Like Final Fantasy games are all like in this weird mix of like
Mhm.
it's futuristic, but it's also
Yeah.
fantastic and like it's in this weird mix. And
Yeah,
I
it
feel
doesn't
like
really
Final
get
Fantasy
out of
VII, yeah, like seven does it. It has such the best balance, I
it.
think,
It's
like
balanced. That's
of
right.
that setting. Yeah. Um, and again, I didn't realize how much I missed it until I picked this up. I don't remember how much it was on sale on the summer sale, but let's see if we see the store page.
You can probably go to your receipts.
Yeah, make sure my credit card number's in there too.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. Well,
Just
I
kidding.
wasn't saying you were gonna show it.
I was just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking, man. Um, the so I bought it for $50, which is a lot for me. I usually don't go over 20. I wait for them to get like majorly on
Yeah,
sale,
but
but it
this
went
is a
from
different
70
story.
to 50.
This is like me with Halo.
Yeah, that's true.
Once the new Halo
Um,
comes out, I'm like all over.
it's really good. Oh, and I didn't talk about the gameplay. Like so Final Fantasy obviously was turn-based combat. It's the
Right.
game that kind of made that really popular in America, but um this is I wouldn't say it's a mix of both because you're definitely doing more kind of hack and slash style combat, but you do have an option like after you have like a power bar that fills up and then once it fills up, you can kind of do this like pause kind of thing where you're in those same turn based and it's the same actions from the original game. So
Okay.
Cloud has like braver and you can pick your target and do that. So it's kind of like a weird mix of both. Honestly, I would prefer just a turn based.
Yeah.
Um, but I this is more like Kingdom Hearts. If you ever played the first Kingdom Hearts,
Right.
I never played
Gotcha.
past the first one, but the first one was was a similar kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
It kind of feels like that, only there's a little more depth to it than what I remember of Kingdom Hearts. But
So, so Star Ocean is weird
yeah,
because so it's hack and slash, but so you're like you're just running around the world, whatever, and there'll be not bosses, there'll be enemies, just
yeah,
kind of walking around, not really doing anything. They don't like look at you and see you and all that crap. But when you run into them, well, okay, no, if they see you, they will run at you a little
oh
bit.
yeah,
You'll
yeah,
go into another, like you'll go into this battle arena with them, and then
yeah,
you'll fight them just like a regular hack and slash. It was I think that it was to get around originally. It was to get around the RAM limitations of
yeah,
of the consoles at the time, so they could load a whole different area instead of having to load
yeah,
everything into that,
yeah.
real world. I don't know. But
There was a game called Legends of Dragoon that had the same kind of
oh
thing where
yeah, yeah, I
you
know
could
what you're
see the
talking about
enemies.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Um. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it. Yeah.
Do you remember a game called? This would be a cool one if they ever remade it. Do you remember a game called Vagrant Story?
I'm not sure.
I think it was Vagrant
If I
Story.
saw it, I might be able to remember it, but
But it had a unique combat system on that too. But yeah, this it is reminding me how much I like those style games. I still play a lot of like CRPG style games,
yeah.
but not games like Final Fantasy where they had that like that total turn base,
Yeah,
system.
right. I like the turn based because I'm not I'm not fast as I
I'm
used
not
to
a
be.
twitchy game player,
Yeah, I'm
right?
not a twitchy game player either. I've never been.
Yeah,
I used to be a lot better back in the day, but now I'm really not like that. So I
yeah,
love turn
me too.
because
Yeah,
it's much more manageable for me.
yeah, yeah. I'm kind of the same way. There was a time period where I was playing Counter Strike a lot, and in that time period I was, but that was like a phase. Like
Right,
before and after that, I've never been
right.
that type of gamer.
Like as soon as auto aim happened, I was like, thank goodness. You don't have to freaking like get exactly precise on the character. Like even in role playing games, like you know how you don't necessarily have to like hit right towards the person. It'll kind of go at the enemy, even though
Yeah,
you're not facing them. I don't know exactly what that would be called, but it was like kind of like a lock-on system, but not really. And you know what
yeah,
I'm trying to say? Like that changed the game for me because I could never hit
yeah,
enemies when I had to actually hit them.
yeah. I know what you mean. Um, so the other game, and this has kind of an element of that. The other game that I picked up was I finally got Resident Evil Village,
Oh yeah,
which
that's right.
I think this was significantly on sale. They had
Yeah, I
all
want
the Resident Evil franchise on sale, so it went from $60 to $30, so it's 50% off. Um, which
yeah.
by the way, I don't know if you're interested. Let's see if they're all still on sale. They might have went off the Resident Evil sale, but maybe they're on sale again for summer sale. But like Resident Evil 2, if you're
Oh.
interested in that at all, let's see how much it is right now. It's $15.99. It is 110% worth $15.99. Like that is a steal for that game. Resident Evil 2 was great.
I have to
I
do that.
I replay it just to get the feeling of it. Um but the only one out of the franchise that I have not gotten on the PC yet, especially since they started doing this like
Rebrand,
uh
yeah.
yeah, where they're
Remake.
doing the remake. Yeah. Was Village, and so I've played through. Um, I think there might be a spoiler right in the beginning of this clip, so I'm going to close this. um,
Spoiler
I've
alert.
I've played through. Hey, it's in their promo, but I've played through all of the. Um, so the way the game works is you go through these different. You're looking for your baby. Basically, like Chris shows up right at the beginning of the game
Of
and
course.
steals your newborn child, and you don't know why. You're like, hey, you're supposed to be a good guy, right? Give me my baby back. And of course, like this is one of those games I could tell already. I'm not at the end, so I don't really know what the conclusion is, but I can tell that like if these characters just spoke to each other, they'd probably work this out without any of the events of the game ever happening. But of course, they don't speak to each other, and so he just runs off with your baby. And the way the game
all make sense
works,
in time, and then runs away.
right? Yeah. You could just tell me now. um, but like, so you go to this village. Name of the game. And the village is like overrun by these like wild zombies. They're not even really zombies. They're like rabid. There's actually a name for them in the game. I can't think of it right now, but they're just like these like rabid humanoid creatures that have gone mad. And
So they're not like slow zombies; they're fast zombies.
Oh no, yeah, they're not like slow zombies at all. It's the first part of the game is pretty intense. Matter of fact, like I would kind of play the game kind of in like I'd play it until like I was too stressed out, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna take a break. I can't keep going. But once you get through the village area, and then you get into the first castle, which is the dominatrix lady. I can't think of her name. Lady Dom.
Yes. The one that's like always
yeah.
It was big when this game first came out. Everyone was talking about her.
It is the best part of the game too. That's the most Resident Evil feeling part of the game is whenever you have to basically sneak around her like mansion and solve some puzzles. The puzzles in modern Resident Evil games aren't anything like the puzzles in the old ones, and I kind of miss that. But this one it takes a step in that direction. There was a few puzzles where I was like, man, I don't really know how to do this. But most of them are just like, I found this object. Oh, there's a door that has an impression that looks like that object. I bet that goes there. You know what I mean? It's nothing like, when you played the first Resident Evil, it was like you ended up with 6 objects in your bag and you're like, I have no idea where these go or what order they're supposed to go in. But the most of the game is basically, so the Lady D is she's basically the new, she's the new menace. She's the thing that walks around that you can't possibly kill, and she can kill you. So the whole game is basically trying to dodge her. But it's not as hard as the menace that's in Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2, I felt like it was harder to get around him. Lady D kind of leaves you alone for most of the mansion. I mean, there's only certain areas that you think you might run into her, and you can get away with her.
Huh? Or do you think it was do you think it was intentional? Or do you think it was an AI not programmed as well?
I think it's just the layout. For me, it's easier to navigate her house than it was to navigate the in Resident Evil 2, you have to go through that center area of the police station, to get almost anywhere. And that's where that dude always hung out. So it was like you always had to encounter him to run from one end of the map to the other. Another thing that I think I find odd, I will say it's not a huge deal, but I don't like it. I wish that they had the containers. So in Resident Evil games, you have the little storage, boxes that you put stuff in, and then you can go to another store and get your stuff out. They don't have those at all. You just have to carry everything the whole game. You just have to have enough space.
More realistic, I guess, but
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but it just feels very on
Resident Evil. Yeah.
Resident Evil-y, yeah. But everybody talks about Lady D, but Lady D's daughters are it is the creepiest.
Are they kids? Are they like little kids or
no?
Okay.
No, they're
kids zombie kids are just creepy. I don't care what anyone says.
No, that's what's weird about it is so they're they're adult women.
Okay.
I don't know how to judge what age they are because they're all bug ladies.
They're older.
Yeah, but they're they form into all these insects, and then they spread apart, and so you can't shoot them. You have to try to freeze them so they get stuck in their insect form. And the way you freeze them is by shooting the windows in the areas that they are. You shoot the windows, the cold air comes in, and they'll freeze, and then you can shoot them. And the weird thing about them to me was just I couldn't see how this fit in a Resident Evil game, because Resident Evil is not typically, there is a supernatural element to Resident Evil. There's an eerie feeling, but typically they try to use some kind of pseudoscience to explain it away. Right. It's never oh yeah, this is a curse. you know, like, or like it's usually like,
Right.
oh yeah, that was this
Yeah.
virus. They try to do this, but you see these women just like completely dissolve into insects and then form back into women again, and like
It's
it's
like,
like
why?
this doesn't seem to fit the world to me.
Yeah, because
But
usually once something transforms in Resident Evil, that's it. That's the form it's gonna
oh,
be in.
oh yeah, whenever things start growing like a big eye out of their
Right.
shoulder and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, it's like it's not like body mutilation gore kind of stuff like you see in normal
Right.
Resident Evil. This is like really mystical feeling. But
Hmm.
they do kind of explain it away. So like after you after you get past all the sisters, you start finding journal entries written by Lady D, and she talks
Okay.
about how these people came to her. They were somehow infected by these bugs. I don't know. It has something to do with bugs, but
Right.
it's
Right.
totally just like they threw that in there so they could have these disappearing ladies.
Yeah.
You know, like
Right. Right. Just to
um,
explain it, so that nobody complained about it.
yeah, I would say that there's still a thread to the pseudosciency Resident Evil universe in that they try to explain it away, but it's pretty thin, man. It's pretty thin. It's pretty supernatural feeling. I don't
Right.
see how they could
Gotcha.
really make it make sense, but it's great. Yeah, they kept it in there that way. It feels like as if Hideo Kojima had helped Resident Evil write this game because
Really?
it's really bizarre anime feeling
Hmm.
whenever you're getting
Interesting.
like mutilated by all these sexy women that turn into bugs.
Yeah, that's very anime. That's like straight up anime.
Yeah, yeah. It's really crazy. But I got past her part of the story, and you basically are collecting these puzzle pieces to get whatever the final chapter of the game is. I've gotten three of the four puzzle pieces before I can open whatever the final chapter is. But yeah, once you get past Lady D, it feels like Resident Evil 4, where it's mostly just gun. You
Okay.
know, you're just shooting stuff
Yep.
and collecting stuff, and then buying new upgrades for your gun.
Gotcha.
But
So they
yeah,
kind of
that
try to
first
get
chapter,
elements of all the games in it a little bit.
yeah, it feels like a blend of like it feels like a blend of Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 2 maybe. It's like old Resident Evil blended with that Resident because Resident Evil 4 kind of changed like ever since
Oh
Resident
yeah.
Evil 4, Resident Evil has been that formula.
Right. Yep.
This is kind of a blend of both formulas in a pretty good way. I wish it was a little more puzzly, but again, it goes
Yeah.
back to what we talked about earlier, where we're not really twitchy, game players.
Right.
But yeah, it's I loved Resident Evil 4 too, though. I used to watch my roommate and I would play that game, and we would just watch each other play it for hours.
Yeah.
Like, I would
Yeah.
watch him play for 3 hours, and then he'd watch me play for 3 hours, and
That's how I got into it actually is with let's see here. I think it was Resident Evil 4, I believe, and my cousin had the game and she would play it and I would just watch her, like you said, for like a
mhm,
long time, and then I would play it, and then she would play it, basically the same thing, and that's how
yeah,
I kind of got into the whole Resident Evil, um, everything, and then I started buying the games, and then I played them all through, and well, except for two, I didn't play two through, but I played four, I played the first Resident Evil, I played five, which was, nah, we don't talk about Resident Evil 5, and I
whenever I have Resident Evil 5, but I've not beat it.
I
Look
didn't,
at
I
it.
didn't like it. I didn't. It didn't feel right. But
Yeah, a lot of people don't like that one, and I
I
think
don't.
it is. I think it's because it's way more. It's like way more run and gun actiony kind of stuff.
Yeah, that right. It doesn't feel like Resident Evil at all. Like
Aren't you like in the bayou and you gotta
no, no,
like,
no. You're in Africa, I believe.
huh?
Maybe you're in the bayou. I don't know. It's all day, all daytime, almost all the whole game,
Yeah.
and you're in like a deserty type. I don't know
Oh
if it's
yeah. I don't know
desert,
if I remember that. I'm thinking of a game. I
but
remember you had to get on a boat and go between these different areas, and every area it was like you get the item that you need, and then it would be like here's a swarm of zombies that you got to survive, and
I don't
then
think that's it.
I don't know which one that
Something.
is.
But
Um,
anyway,
but so yeah, that's so far that's been what I've taken advantage of on the summer sale. And I haven't, I hadn't beat Village by the time I bought Final Fantasy 7. And
Once you bought Final Fantasy VII, everything was all over.
well, I'm way more interested in playing Final Fantasy VII, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
I've been making myself stop and play Resident Evil because I feel like I paid money for it. I need to beat it before
And
I
the whole
buy
time you're
another
playing
game.
Resident Evil, you're like, when can I start playing Final Fantasy?
Yeah, I, I'm like giving myself chores now. Um, but let's do a few more news items, and then I'll tell you. I don't want to spend the whole show just talking about games I played, but I have a few more I can interject as we go through some of the news items.
So you want to start on the OMG Ubuntu one?
Oh yeah, sounds good.
So
Oh, sorry, I have to turn it on. There we go.
no, it's all good. Yeah. So Xenotic, the open source first-person shooter game, apparently got a huge update. Now I have played Xenotic, but I don't normally play it because I'm not a huge first-person shooter person anymore, like I used to be. But
Yeah,
so yeah, I didn't read this too far through, so I don't exactly know all about this update.
I
But
I read I read the article. I'm trying to find in the software center now. I know that there is. Let me share my screen again to show the software center. I know that it's in here. Um, so there is Xenotic. Ooh, so Xenotic. Here it is. Um,
you probably
yeah,
not.
I
You actually have
I
the newest
remember
one.
this game. It's like a Quake Arena style game
Yeah, basically, yeah.
or Unreal Tournament. That whole
Yeah,
run and gun,
you can
shoot your
run
friends at a
servers and
LAN party.
everything, and have
Yeah.
yeah, all that. Yep.
I don't know if I feel like I probably installed this at some point and played it, but I don't remember it. But yeah, apparently they had been working on a lot of things, and they improved graphics. They improved some of the level layouts. They improved animation. Like this was like just a huge like facelift. And I guess instead of incrementally releasing all these things, they released it all at once. And what makes this interesting is that this is a completely open 100% FOSS
Yep.
game, which is super interesting. I'm not even sure. Actually, let's look on the Software Center and see the name behind the people. I have lost my Software Center. I'm zoomed out to the GNOME screen where you can see everything,
Yeah.
and I cannot
Overview.
find it.
Uh-oh. There it is.
Yeah, there it is. But I'm back on the
Crap.
front. All right,
There it is. Okay, we got it.
Anonix. Let's see. How do you see developed by? It's community built. This software is developed in the open by a community of volunteers. Here's the project website. Did I not have the developer on this screen?
I guess not.
Let's go to their website and see.
Okay, so this is like a pet peeve of mine, and
Mhm.
that's the fact that it is still in technically alpha or beta, whatever, because it says
Oh
0.
yeah,
I'm like, this game has been out for so long. Just give it a 1.0 already.
yeah. It's let's see. They have a wiki page. Legendary Guard is who maintains the wiki page.
Legendary Guard.
So
That's awesome.
maybe we'll find out by next. I'm sure someone will write in and tell us. But
Yep.
um, yeah, I don't know. I want to try it now, just because of
I can definitely tell from the last time I played it, the graphics are way better looking. Just
yeah.
for
I
this
don't
one.
remember it. Yeah, I don't know that I've ever. I feel like I must have tried it, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, no, it looks a lot better. Because I remember it looking more like actual like Quake 3.
Yeah. We should
But
definitely try about it. Let's get on and try to shoot each other and see how that goes.
yes. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty cool though. I'm glad that open source games aren't like totally, what am I trying to say?
Oh, I
Not
didn't think
gone.
about it. I didn't think about it from that angle. So like we've been talking about like how because of Proton, what progress
Right.
we're going to see, and like so I think that this is a good example of like what we were specifically discussing was, are companies still going to develop specifically for Linux? And I think the
Right.
answer to that is probably no. I think that now that Proton is a thing, man, just target Proton if you weren't
Yeah.
going to make it open source anyway. So, I mean, this kind of raises like a whole new level of
Right.
like instead of us trying to like root for people that are developing specifically for Linux, we've
Right.
we've crossed that hurdle now. It's really cool to see companies like this that are like developing a project in the open that is, I saw on their website you can play it on Windows.
Yep. Yep. You can play
they're
it on Windows.
it's beyond just being targeted at Linux players, but it's something that is open source and contributed by a community that plays the game. That's really cool. I really
Yeah.
like that a lot. Um, that kind of changes my perspective a little bit. I got to think about it a little bit more, but that's pretty interesting.
Yep. So let's see here.
What do we
the
got after
next.
this?
This is. Oh yes, yes. The Steam Deck has changed and nobody noticed
Yeah,
until now.
they're pulling the rug out from under us, and we
Yep.
never we
They
never
totally redesigned it. It's totally no. I'm just kidding.
they're shipping a bunch of switches with
They couldn't build any more Steam Decks, so they're shipping switches.
it's now called the Valve Switch.
It only plays Nintendo.
They scribbled Nintendo out in the serial number. Um, yeah, so they changed the lane. They changed a very specific thing
Yeah.
about the hard drives that are going to be in the new releases of the Steam Deck. And it's true, there was no announcement of it. Although I kind of think this is such a minuscule change that I don't know that they ever advertised. I don't know that they ever advertised it on the initial launch. Did we figure that out? I think maybe
I
I
don't
could be
I
wrong.
don't think they advertised it, but
Yeah.
maybe they did. I
Like
think people just find out about these things and and then we know, and when we know, they change it after the fact. It's like, oh well, it used to be this, but
yeah.
if they never said it, then how are you supposed to know what, it was, you were not supposed to really know.
Yeah, and there's stuff like this all the time. I remember back whenever I used to hack PSPs, you had to, you had to know which PSP you had
Right,
in
yeah.
order to know which one to use.
Right.
And it would be like, well, if you got one with this serial number and or if it was made between this date and this date, you'd have to do all this to kind of figure out like, well, did I get one that had this very specific chipset? And
Right.
I don't want to brick my PSP if I
Yep.
did. So I mean, I know that this type of change um, frequently happens. What I kind of likened it to when we talked about this before the show was, um, I recently Tesla announced that. Oh, well, I'm sorry, I'm getting way ahead of ourselves because we discussed this before the show, and I'm forgetting what we said on the show and what we didn't. So my speculation is that they made this change so that they could ship more Steam Decks, because the next article that we have is talking about how they doubled the amount of Steam Decks that they're shipping. I'm guessing that they were having a hard time getting one drive for some reason, and so they changed it to something that was the same specs that they advertised, but yet was a slightly different drive. And it was either that or the scary headline would be Steam Deck sales plummet because they can't ship more products,
Right.
or they're having to hold off on taking new orders because they can't ship enough Steam Decks. And so they had to make a choice of which headline they wanted, and this was the one they went with.
Yep.
And I likened it to, Tesla recently quit. They quit including a charger with their cars, but the reason why is because they had cars, but they had no chargers, and they were like, "Well, we gotta ship cars, so
Right.
from this point on, we're not going to ship a charger. You got to buy it. It's $200 extra if you want one."
Right.
And but the not weird, because I mean it's just pretty typical for corporations like this.
Yep.
But like now that they've done that, they will never ship a car with a charger. like it's understandable why they did it in the moment, but like now that that's done, they'll never go back.
They'll see those sales and they'll be like, that was a smart move.
Right, exactly.
Did we say
Although
what they changed exactly with the hard drive?
it was I don't have the article in front of me anymore, but I can get it out of our Discord chat.
Says right here. It says that they changed it from it was a 4x PCIe lanes to 2x PCIe lanes.
Yes.
So seemingly that sounds like half the performance, but in
Right.
actuality, let me
It's
see
a
here.
very my understanding is a very minuscule difference, if at all.
Right. So Valve says right here, Valve has explained the reasoning behind the different SSDs and told us that in extremely uncommon cases, differences in read-write speed caps may minimally impact file transfer speeds, but OS performance, loading times, game performance, and game responsiveness are identical between the 2x and 4x drives.
Yeah.
So basically, no issue with changing this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I highly doubt there's a noticeable difference. And they're claiming there's no difference at all. I that's either even if that's not true, I highly doubt it's a noticeable difference.
So far, Valve has been very transparent with all of this.
That's very true. That's very true.
That it's true. I don't think someone's gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, this is horrible now."
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, I said this before. I said the base Steam Deck, they're telling you that an SD card is good enough for your games. So this drop in PCIe lanes is not gonna be a problem. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
NVMEs are so freaking fast that you're not gonna notice. I don't care.
And yeah, I mean, you're basically. I mean, I'm already using my SD card. I mean, I've already got a game, and I only have like I delete games whenever I'm done playing them, so I only keep like one game on the Steam Deck at a time. And I'm already using an SD card because just a lot of the games I play are so large, and games these days are so big that you're going to have to use an SD card.
Yep.
I can't imagine there's very many people out there that aren't using SD cards with their Steam Deck, no matter which size they got.
Yeah, even the largest one, yeah, because you get like 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 games on there, AAA games, and you're done. That's it.
And so I imagine that there's little to no impact if you're already running a game off of an SD card anyway. And no matter how many lanes, it probably runs better directly off the drive than it does off an SD card.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the SD card is equal to the NVMe drive.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I'm not saying
right.
that. I'm just saying if they say it's okay to use an SD card, this drop is not going to be a problem because
it's not going to be significant.
So much faster than the SD card. So yeah,
the yeah, no, I think that is an apt description. But like we said, that leads into the next story, which is that they are shipping twice as many Steam Decks now. Which
doubling Steam Deck deliveries. Yeah,
I need to look at this article a little bit. We threw this in here before the show. This is actually one of the items that we had whenever I first got back from New York and we were going to do the episode, and I threw some stuff in the show notes, and then we didn't do that episode, so I haven't read this article in a little while. I was trying to see what they attributed it to. Says they announced they will start sending out Q3 Stream Deck reservation emails later this week. Confirmed that it had sent out the last of the Q2, so they're catching up on all the already ordered Q2 and Q3.
yeah. I think I have heard of some people getting their emails for Q3 recently, but it says June 30th, so it had to be pretty recent. But I can't confirm that exactly if they started on the 30th or not.
So this article, based on, I just skimmed through it again just to confirm, but it doesn't really attribute it to anything specific. But just that they are. And we can speculate that it has something to do with the hard drive thing. But we don't really know that.
I
And
could see it definitely because the supply chain is still screwed up. So it's
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
gotta be a factor at least in it.
yeah, for sure. But I'm glad to see them going out. I've been seeing on Reddit where a lot of people are having theirs like stolen during
Really?
delivery. Yeah. Like
Oh, I can see that.
there's even a video of a delivery driver stealing a guy's Steam Deck. I saw that on Reddit yesterday and I was like, holy cow. Yeah,
Wow.
that's so crazy. I think because of the supply chain issues, they're just and with any new device like this, like they're kind of uncommon, and there's probably like a pretty high kind of after secondary market value to these
Oh
things.
yeah, I'm sure.
Now, I wonder if they have any way of tracking that because they have a feature where they can automatically, while the device is before it's delivered to you, they can log into your Steam account and even install some games for you. So
Really?
like they know who these products are going, like they know the appropriate Steam
Right,
account. I
you're
wonder if
right.
there's a way they could be like, you report yours stolen, and then they see it cut on somebody's Wi-Fi somewhere, and they're like, "We got him!"
That would be
Gabe Noel
amazing.
comes to your house and beats you up with a crowbar.
Comes to that would be, oh man, I would pay to see that. That'd be amazing.
He was whenever the Steam Deck first started delivering, he was delivering hand delivering some of them.
Was he? Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool. He's awesome. That dude seems just awesome.
I have to believe that, I know who Gabe Newell is because I'm a huge Half-Life fan, but
Oh yeah.
like there's got to be people that just said, "Oh, thanks, man," and then shut the door like they didn't they didn't know who he was.
Oh, I'm sure that happened a lot more than it didn't.
That's hilarious. Well, was that all the news items we had? I think that was
That's all
it.
I have on my tabs.
I feel like we have been running for about an hour, but I don't know. Yeah, about an hour right now.
Really? Wow, I didn't feel
Well, we had some the actual show won't be an hour, so
oh right.
so we still have like 10, 20 minutes. Um I I went to New York. We haven't done a show in a while for a few reasons. It wasn't just because I went to New York. I went to New York, and then when I got back, you had some stuff. I don't know how much you want to talk about it, but you got a new gig and everything. You just finished college.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I'll say at least this. I just finished college.
yeah,
I just got hired on for a new job, and
congratulations. I'm really
yeah,
excited for you.
and I mean it's just been crazy, and that's all been in like the last month. So
Yeah,
I'm just like I'm just like
yeah.
there's no time for anything else.
And it wasn't we just back and forth. We just had every weekend that was like I was building a deck last weekend. Just every weekend something was happening.
And
Um,
now I don't know. The reason why I really wanted to get a show out is because
mhm.
these next couple weeks, at least the next couple weeks, maybe 3-4 weeks, I'm not sure what's going to be
Yeah.
going on because I'm going to be moving and all this crap. So that's a
Oh
whole
my
other
gosh, I didn't even think about that. You guys are. I knew that you were moving, but I didn't even. That just
think
hit me.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
yeah. That just hit me. All that goes into that.
I just thought about it now and I was like, oh man, wow. So yeah,
We'll, we'll be patient with whatever you need to do. I'm sure everybody out there listening will be patient, but just don't think that we are pod fading because
yeah. No, it's been yeah. Once I get into this job, I think it's going to be a lot steadier because it's my job is going to be steady. It's not going to be so
yeah,
chaotic as I have it now. Um, it's basically 9 to 5, so it's going to be
yeah.
nice.
That's really nice. That is really really nice.
8 to whenever. I never know when I'm
Yeah,
coming home now. It could be
I've
7.
been on I've been working on a big software change at work, but it comes to a head like the 17th of this month. So
Okay.
I'll be a lot freer. Of course, that's when they'll be like, "Oh, now that you're done with that project, here's another one."
Yeah. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Um, but when I was in New York, I wanted to test out the Steam Deck, like in in the wild. I didn't bring a laptop with me. I just figured any laptop and I was going to do, I would
This
do
is
on the
cool.
Steam
I
Deck.
didn't even know about this. This is gonna be awesome.
Oh, I brought my tablet. I brought my tablet and the Steam Deck. So I actually used the tablet for a lot of like searching and stuff. But I did game every night just like I would at home. And it was really nice. I know that previous vacation trips I basically just couldn't do any gaming,
Right.
while we were out, or I would install like Raid Shadow Legends or something on my phone and then delete it as soon as I got back home. Just because like I needed some kind of fix.
Stardew Valley on your phone.
Yeah, dude, my son they have the I've never my son just recently started playing Stardew Valley. He has no idea what he's doing, but he's running around breaking rocks and stuff. So I played a game. I played 2 games while I was actually on the plane, because they didn't require internet connection. Oh, actually, one of them did. I couldn't play one of them. I played one game while I was on the plane. The other one I tried, and it did require an internet connection. But the one that worked that did not require an internet connection, I'm looking for it in my Steam so I can tell you the name. It was a really strange game. It was like you were playing through a book, and it wasn't hard. It was all story driven. Like the only reason why you would keep playing the game is because you wanted to hear what happened next. But the puzzles were not complicated. Man, where's this game? I have too many things in my library now. Dang, Steam summer sales. They get you.
We got the spring sale, the summer sale, the fall sale, winter sale. You got too many games now.
All right, I found the other game. The game that did not work that I tried first was called Ashen.
Yes, okay. I remember you talking about this.
Yeah, this game is pretty cool. I'd never heard of it. It is it's a Souls like game. That's like the new term that everybody uses, but it's like it's a single player RPG, and it's not nearly as brutal as what I've seen of Souls, but it's a game where like you have to attack and roll and attack, and like it's not like a game. You're not just gonna run up and hit things. You got to like watch for your opening and play kind of cautiously. But
Legends of Zelda.
yeah, right. Yeah. This ain't your grandpa's Legends of Zelda.
Old.
I really like the art style of it though. It's it has it has like a cell shaded, all the characters like have no face. They're like flat on the face, but they have like features like a mustache or there's something there that gives you some subtlety, an impression of who they are, but they look like a painting. They don't look realistic,
Right.
and the whole world is that way, so it blends really well together. I played this in the hotel at night. This is what I was gaming at night, and um, I really enjoyed it for that. I got back home and I tried to play it on my PC, and I didn't like it on the PC.
Really?
It seems like it is very much designed for a controller. It plays really well on the Steam Deck, but it just seems the controls, the interface, it all just seems too simple, and it feels like kind of stretched out on my big monitor screen.
Right.
But as a handheld, it felt really good. So I mean, I think and it runs great on the Steam Deck. I didn't have to do any modifications or anything like that. You just install it and it goes. But the I had accidentally temporarily blocked my screen share. Sorry to audio listeners. We're trying this out. So I got it working now. I got it up. So yeah, you can see on there what their faces look like.
Yeah.
But it is a pretty cool game, and
Oh no,
it works great on the deck. The other game, I think, was made by the same company, and I'm trying to find it in my game list here. I'll cut all this dead air out in the audio. You YouTubers are gonna have to deal with it.
Sorry.
Sorry, both of you. Where is it at?
Do you remember what it was?
Oh, you know what? It's in the show notes from that episode that we didn't do.
Okay.
What Remains of Edith Finch?
Okay, yeah, you never mentioned this one to me. Definitely not. I don't remember that.
And now that I know what it was, I'll be able to find it for the video. It's right at the bottom. What remains of Edith Finch? So this game is weird. I it's it's a unique game for sure, and I would say uniqueness alone, just a unique way of presenting a story in a video game. In that it succeeds. It's not a hard game. There's no it's just a game. You basically just go through the motions of this game, but I don't mean that as a negative thing. It's very interesting. um the story starts out with this girl who is returning to her childhood home, and the way the gameplay kind of works is you basically just walk through this maze of the house, and then she's kind of narrating her memories of the house as you walk through it. And um there's even like writing will kind of scroll across the wall as she narrates it, and so it's like you're playing through a book almost.
Hmm.
um and in the story there's all these different characters that died in this tragic way, like basically this family of this house left for some reason and you don't know why. And part of the mystery of the game is trying to understand what happened the final night they were in the house all together. And this family is considered to be cursed because like all these family members like died in mysterious ways.
Right.
And as you walk through the house, and she starts revealing the stories of how the other people died. You play through these little mini games that are telling that story. And some of the like stories that are portrayed are like really like Stephen King-esque. Like um it's pretty wild. There's this one particular that I'll spoil a little bit, but trust me, I'm not spoiling the game because the game is it's all over the place.
It's a lot.
There's a lot more to it than what I'm about to reveal. But one of the little mini game stories is about this girl that like wakes up hungry and she's like looking for food in her room, and she sees a bird outside of her window, and so she turns into a cat and she catches and eats the bird, but then she's still hungry. So
I think they did
uh
a scene on the preview of that because it's all
yeah, it's
cat paws
yeah.
going after the bird.
Yeah, and so you play as the cat, like trying to pounce on this bird, and then after you catch it, you turn into an owl, and then you play as the owl trying to catch like mice,
Huh.
and then from the owl you turn into a shark in the middle of the air, and you like fall on land and then roll until you eventually land in water, and then you start eating like sea creatures and stuff, and then you turn into like this like Stephen King esque Cthulian like monster of some kind, where you're just playing this tentacle, and the tentacle like grabs humans and eats them. But like it's still all in the little girl's voice, and the little girl is like she just gets hungrier and hungrier, and eventually you end up back in the little girl's bedroom, and like they
Sounds like
give you the
dreams.
Right, exactly. It starts out as a dream. You end up back in the little girl's bedroom, and it's like she is still asleep on the bed, and you're underneath the bed. And then the story ends with like she's like talking about how hungry she is, and she's like, "Boy, I bet I'm really tasty," or something like that. And you're like, "Am I going to eat the little girl?" And then and then that's the end of the short story. Like
So
it's so weird, dude. But like the game is full of all of these like neat little like back hallways and like secret passageways and stuff. But like I said, there's really no puzzle to it. You're just kind of guided through this, like
right.
by the narrator. It's really
It,
really unique gameplay. What's that?
it sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. I definitely recommend it. It's an odd one. I like this so it's a publisher, uh, Anaptura Interactive, or I looked at a lot of their games. They all look really unique, like really unique storytelling games. So I might try out some more of them. What turned me on to this was there was one day where all their games were on sale, and so I picked up those two games just because I think they were like really cheap. Like I think I picked up that Ashen game for like $5.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably like $5 or something. That's usually how
Yeah.
those off-brand games go.
Yeah, it's interesting. It kind of reminds me of like the A24 company or whatever that makes movies, where all the movies are like really artsy and unique, but they're all pretty good. That's kind of like the vibe I got from this publisher. I wonder if all the games are kind of similar. But yeah, I don't want to just ramble. If you have anything before we get out of here, I think we can call this one a show.
Yeah, no, I don't really have anything I can think of.
Yeah, man. We'll get through all the changes, all the migration season. We'll have to do some episodes where we can, even if they're just kind of. Yeah.
That's like my one stipulation to this move is like all my computer stuff is going in my car, not in any kind of moving vehicle. It's in my car.
I always do that too, and it's wherever I sleep. Like basically, I don't move my computer until I'm ready to move. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yep. Same here. That's the last thing that's going out.
It used to be my comics. My comics used to sleep wherever I slept, but nah, I don't care about those anymore. The computer sleeps where I sleep.
Oh, it's funny.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys. Maybe not next week, but we'll see you when we see you. We'll be back for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And peace.
See ya.
I don't know how to end this thing.